government in eroding the democratic norms that led to the dictatorship and allegations of human rights. Page 38.
Page 38, okay. That's a really important question. While I had said earlier that Jammeh had usurped many of the state functions, the NIA still remained a crucial apparatus in his maintenance of political power. The police were also an important element in this infrastructure. As a matter of fact, sometimes the roles of these two institutions were very blurred, police playing roles of the military and vice versa. And because there are no checks and balances and almost a non-existent trade union tradition in the country, of course I'm aware that we had the Jallo Jallos and so forth and so on, but these became moribund and could not serve as a countervailing force. And this made it all the more scary because the junglers, the NIA, and the other security agents or agencies had an open field to do just as they pleased to make sure that Jammeh was happy with what was going on. In the end, what happened was a national security state, where security of the state and the ruler became paramount at the expense of the population. In fact, I call it also a vampire state, a national security vampire state. It was a vampire state because it sucked the blood out of Gambia's economy from the banks and all the institutions that were financially viable. And this was also done through the use of state repressive apparatus, so that the two combined enabled him to do exactly what he had planned out: suck the blood out of the Gambian economy, and in doing so deprive the bulk of Gambians of their daily sustenance. And this is what vampires basically do.
In fact, you're saying that this was a militarized criminal gang.
Yes.
Which hijacked the state.
Yes, absolutely.
Very strong words, aren't they?
Yes.
In paragraph 107.
Yes.
In fact, I should read paragraph 108. This is what you said. In fact, in Gambia's case, state functions were restructured, subsumed and concentrated under the executive branch. The Gambia under Yahya Jammeh, especially in the last 5 years before his ouster, the state transformed into a hybrid between national security state and vampire state. Jammeh and his cabal had literally drained the country's central bank and other government-owned institutions. Those who worked closely with him also got away with millions of dollars, leaving state coffers literally empty. The full extent of this loot is yet to be accurately accounted for. And as if that was not enough, Jammeh went into exile with a fleet of luxury cars. His home in Kanilai could not be more palatial. Boxes full of international currencies and gold bars were found in his home, while the majority of Gambians struggled to secure their next meal or had a pretty difficult time for little pleasures, again betraying the greed that had inspired him in the first place.
Yeah.
He was to do that not alone, he had enablers.
Yes.
Could you tell us about that?
And that really is the irony of all. It is a paradox in that he had people around him who worked in tandem with him, who worked very closely with him. They too enjoyed the spoils. But again, he couldn't have done it alone. The repression, the killings, and whatever else that he might have done couldn't have been executed by a single person. He had underlings who benefited to some degree from their closeness to him, be either prestige or money or whatever spoils came to them. So Jammeh couldn't have done it alone. We are all complicit to some degree in what happened, either by standing aside or being on the fence, not taking a position or a stance. I think all this combined for his longevity. I do believe that we had a very golden opportunity in 2006 with NAD, but that fizzled for a combination of reasons.
Well, we wouldn't task you or trouble you to go into those reasons, but clearly there were other institutions that enabled Jammeh to do what he did. Tell us about the National Assembly, the NIA, and other institutions that helped him in the process. Start with the NIA.
Well, the NIA became essentially an extension of Jammeh, his security detail. Even though it was a formal legal institution, he had essentially appropriated it, the personnel, both formally and informally, to carry out his repressive enterprise.
In fact, according to paragraph 109 of your report, he so used the NIA as an instrument of oppression, those are my words, to the extent that the people were enveloped in fear and suspicion. Jammeh had literally terrorized the entire nation.
Yes.
And I continue to read from what you said in paragraph 109. Good neighborliness, once a priceless commodity, was debased to an extent that few would dare speak openly about the regime, even in the confines and secrecy of their homes. This is because a friend, relative, or even a maid could very well be an informant, reporting on one's activities and conversations to the authorities. Fear of a knock on the door in the middle of the night was enough to keep most in compliance and silence. The legal system, as discussed in an earlier response, had been completely compromised and disemboweled. These, in essence, are the characteristics of a national security vampire state. The state's primary purpose in Gambia under Jammeh was to maintain a repressive political and economic environment in putative defense of national security, with the overriding objective of draining a country and its people of vital resources. That's what you said.
Yes, and I stand by it.
But would you also say, in addition to that, to maintain the benefactor in power?
Absolutely.
To maintain the patron in power?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
You also talked about the role of the National Assembly in this. Could you tell us about that? I'm specifically referring to paragraph 110.
110, okay. The National Assembly, or legislative branch, was not any more effective in carrying out its oversight functions or serve as a check to curb excessive presidential powers and safeguard the national constitution. Enjoying a comfortable majority, APRC NAMs rubber-stamped most legislation favorable to the regime and Jammeh. There were few debates to assess the merits or demerits of a bill, and when they were slow in coming with a decision favorable to Jammeh and his cabal, Jammeh would unilaterally decide in his favor. The National Assembly was anything but effective. They relied on brute force and were part and parcel of the loot of state resources, or at least they legitimized it or made it possible for him to do so. The NIA and its personnel were strategically placed under the purview of Yahya Jammeh, the executive, to subvert laws of the country, and did as they literally pleased. The judiciary had, for all intents and purposes, been defanged or abdicated its vital roles. As guardians of the law and Constitution, the National Assembly failed to serve as a countervailing force to the powerful executive. In their failure, the APRC NAMs betrayed the Gambian people.
Let's look at this carefully. The 1997 Constitution had this provision which said that a member of Assembly, of the National Assembly, who ceased to be a member of the party under his ticket, under whose ticket he or she was elected, shall cease to be a member of the National Assembly.
Yes.
This historically was a provision to prevent carpet crossing, dating from, I think it was 1980s, early 1980s, to prevent carpet crossing between parties. Became a very big tool or a big weapon to whip party members to toe the line.
Yes.
To the extent that it was basically impossible for the NAMs to do their job. They just had to comply to Yahya Jammeh's wishes, or they lose their positions as National Assembly members. Could you comment on that?
Well, while that may be true, I do believe that there can also be internal dissent within parties. In fact, some of the most vocal voices in some other countries would be individuals in your own party, especially if they're in Parliament or the National Assembly. I don't think that should be necessarily a barrier to trying to do one's job and representing the directives that put them there in the first place.
But Jammeh had this tool. If you don't support me, I'll drive you from the party. If I drive you from the party, you lose your seat in the National Assembly. So everybody became compliant. Nobody wanted to lose his seat.
Another tool he used effectively, yes. Absolutely.
So in fact, that is one of the inbuilt institutional arrangements which enabled a dictator to fester.
He had most things covered, including the National Assembly.
So in paragraph 111, you drew a conclusion.
Yes.
And could you read it out for us, please?
In the end, all branches of government and machinery of state had been gutted and their roles subsumed on the office of the President, Yahya Jammeh that is, and State House. It was from this vital and strategic location that decisions were made about disbursement of financial assistance, humanitarian aid, etc. In fact, Jammeh had almost totally destroyed the state and its institutions, including the civil service, which in earnest became a shadow of his past considering that Gambia's civil service was a source of national pride, especially especially after independence. Left at the helm was Jammeh and his cabal to perform state functions, or what was left of them, and few dared to speak out for fear of reprisal. What this meant was that there was endemic institutional and state failure in which routinely expected services, physical infrastructure, and other vital upkeep could not be carried out. Economic functions include private business, ordinarily left to market forces, were centralized out of fear of empowering individuals. Those who were spared had to join the gang or be taxed so high or handed out of the country. To some degree, most business owners played along, many becoming strange bedfellows. Ultimately, it seems as if the state, or at least those at its core, had no limits to their ambition and greed and what they could control.
This is a very big paragraph. Let's try to dissect it.
Absolutely.
The conclusion. You said here that, in fact, Jammeh had almost totally destroyed the state and its institutions. But let's look at the civil service and its impact. You talked earlier about Jolanization of the civil service. And you now say that, in earnest, the civil service became a shadow of its past, considering Gambia's civil service was once a source of national pride. In fact, you're talking about the injection of mediocrity within the civil service. Merit was no longer important. Yes. What was more important was the language you speak or the surname that you bear. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. The institutionalization of mediocrity was pervasive. You could find it in the offices, you could find it in the streets, you could find it also in the electrician who comes to wire your house. I think they learned to some degree, or at least conformed to the general cultural norms that were extant in the state. So
we have seen in this country corporal in the morning, general by evening.
Oops, excuse me. Yes.
I think that's a good point to stop, Mr. Chair, for the first break. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm left on a puzzle. Are we dealing with a maniac, a criminal, or a genius? Yeah. We will take a 30-minute break and come back at 12 noon. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
noo lañ def ñoo ñëw ak yéen rek skincare plus nara jàkkaarloo ak yéen waxtaan ak yéen tuuti rek si suñu tube suñu baax emuñ rek ci ay diw waaye comme ni ngeen ko xamee rek dañoo yëngu ci ay tube te yënguwuñ nag si just any tube suñ tube bu nekk 5 star jas na la 5 star jas na mooy jas na bi gën a pire moom la ñoo tube palmaan bi gën a fort moom la ñoo liggéeyee buñ demee Bamako ñun duñ dem ci marché bi rek buub indi déedéet dañ leen a jox suñu specs ne lañ nii lañ ko buggee nay lañ ko buggee fóot bi nangami fóot lañ bugga pour mu mun a set waaw cuubi skincare déedéet doo ko sol mu di la taxa all over the place ci gàttal ñun rek si cuub dara du doy day des not only dañoo cuub but bu la neexee ñu cuubal la ba pare nag ñawal la ñaw fi mu gën a setee nag rek la ñoo fulee ñetti ñawkat lañ am nañ ñawkati simple nga xam ne xoppati rek mbaa def sa taille basse def sa dagit def sa roba amul benn dawme am nañ koo xam ne moo ñoo dawme jigéen den am nañ tamit special ñawkat boo xam ne ñawi góor rek la ñoo defal nga bugga sa his and hers muy korité muy tobaski mbaa muy ngénte muy takka mbaa nga bugga rek def sa yëkka bu baax a baax daagul ba ñëw skincare plus ñu dimbali la tànnal la cuub fam gën a baaxee ndax sa yëkka gën a foor lii nga ne lan xoolal bi takka la skincare fii la fu léegi yéen tey we're not all about skin we are skin care and the plus does come in so many different ways. cuubantu wuñ de dañ cuub bam saf-saf
Miss B Designer Outlet is the #1 quality and affordable stop shop for all your needs. Get your evening dresses, suit and ties, office wears for both ladies and gentlemen, beach wears, sport wears, pure leather shoes for men, quality belts, bags, heels for all beautiful ladies, original perfumes, accessories, and a lot more. Find us at Kololini Road opposite Gaddafi Mosque at the Aqua Preacher Station, or call us on 295-3411 or 764-2486. Miss B Designer Outlet. Shop right, look good.
Do you live abroad and want to build your dream home in the Gambia without risking your funds and family ties? Do you want a household name that is trustworthy and efficient? A name that will continue to give you updates on the project from the beginning to the very end with videos and pictures? If your answer is yes, then worry no more. Boss Construction and Asset Management is here for you. If you live outside the Gambia and want to build your dream home, then this is ideal for you. Just reach out to Boss Construction and let's start building the dream home into a reality. With Boss Construction, the difference is clear. We give you value for money. Some of our services includes the following: construction management, building equipment rentals, rent management, purchase and leasing, asset management, and many more. For more information, please contact 282-4945. Better still, send us an email, bossgambia@gmail.com, or you can also visit our website on www.bossgambia.com. Boss Construction, a name you can trust. Boss Construction and Asset Management, keeping families together.
No, ini bara. Welcome. Basically, lot of lala me along is cool, man. That I can really relax. What am I? Yeah, what am I? Let me do somebody. That's right. Grand Villa. That's fine. Slowly. Yes. No. Yeah, actually, a lot of people are basically me alone because they relax. So it's basically like I can understand. Nina Fanny say what? Nidia, Nena Grand Villa is the best guest house in the Gambia. Beji and the Grand Villa Guest House. Na labungul bebe senyaring adu na bungul bebe nyarandiring coming ibela fila ila suwe taranyame until Grand Villa na kiliano la lafino wala mukawatin telkang na ya sabati Grand Villa yala kodo na fa kalamuta. Oh man, this is like a paradise. I know. I so much love this place. Thank you. Trust me, I love this place. You come to someone and you're watching what? How to jump and know what you can be on. Grand Villa. I tell you. I love this place. Okay. I love this place, man. Oh yeah. Ni lefta na kuo keso sotola. Futama Oljuntum Paradise Estate. Mbaya kumandiroke 7527-218. Wale futana website auto www.grandvillaguesthouse.com. Grand Villa Guest House.